Right, you lovely people out there. Welcome back. This is episode 4 of the Milner Field House History and Discovery podcast. And this is a video cast going out Spotify, YouTube, Odyssey, Library, and probably Rumble soon in a bit as well. And the audio podcast out there as well on pretty much all platforms now. We've got out everywhere. We'd like to say hello to our viewers in Poland and Egypt as well, and India. You've got quite a few of you there, apparently. So, yeah, that's all good. So I'd like to welcome back both Chrissy and Andy to join me tonight as well.
Hello.
Hello, guys. How's your weeks been?
Good.
Good.
Mostly good.
Mostly good. Busy as well. Yeah, so we've got a lot to talk about. Anyway, we want to get things in, so let's get on with it. Yeah, cast your minds back to last Saturday if you can, which was, in my mind, that was one of the better days I think we spent there that I've been there, just because, yeah, it's always nice to discover something under the ivy that's just almost pristine. There were pipes there. There was all kinds of stuff there as well. So I'll leave it over to you, Chrissy. Do you want to tell people at home watching and listening about what we found and what you reckoned and how thick that ivy was?
Well, it's been growing for decades, hasn't it? Let's face it. About 70 years worth of ivy growth. Yeah, we went to the very, which way is it?
Southwest.
Southwest corner of the upper terrace wall, where there was a platform that's very similar to the one that was down on near the kitchen wing.
Yeah, the southern side, yeah.
Yeah, the other side of the terrace wall, and that had a circular garden house on top of it. Now, we're not sure if the other one actually ever had a garden house on top, possibly just a platform that they intended to use, but maybe never did. Yeah. But the underneath certainly had the little entrance door, the curved sort of arched doorway. You can see it in an aerial photograph just about. But interestingly, actually, the aerial photographs that do exist, that corner is very shaded by the trees, so you don't get to see that corner of the terrace, which is yeah, it's just thick with greenery, and obviously there isn't a winter shot, so the only thing we've got to go on is the aerial shot of the ruin, which must have been winter because all the trees are bare. So
yeah.
But yeah, we had a hunch. We saw brickwork in there, and we literally just lifted up ivy, trimmed some of it back, and there it was. It was just this sort of circular foundation, quite a lot of dressed stone still in place, the lower portions, and myself and Andrew carried on a little bit down the terrace wall, trimming some of the ivy back. And we found right at the very bottom of the wall the original dress stone, at least 2 sections, high from the ground.
Yeah, it was too deep, wasn't it? It was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of soil production from the trees falling every year. The leaves coming off. So there possibly could be a third. But yeah, incidentally, while we were there, I'm telling everyone this story. Incidentally, while me and Andrew were there, you guys were still working on the corner. We'd moved down a little bit, and we're there, pulling ivy and trimming, and we heard this lady's voice, and she said something like, "How are you doing?
How's it going?
How's it going?" And we looked up, we looked around, we looked up again. There wasn't a woman there, was there?
No, literally both stood up out of politeness, didn't we, thinking somebody was asking us something. And
yeah. And then we just both looked at each other, dead in the eyes, and we were like, that was weird.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when you said something, it was like, there's nobody there.
There was no one there. There was no lady there. You guys were just working. There was no one behind us. There was no one above us. There was no one at the side of us. So we just looked at each other and we were like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah,
but we definitely heard it was a woman's voice.
Right. Well, it's not unusual up there.
No, I know, as I've come to know. But yeah, that was, we were kind of like, ooh, That was a bit strange, seeing as there's no one around. But yeah, we just carried on after that. But you kind of get used to it at Milner Field. Spectral sightings and fingers on the back of your neck, and oh, it's all good.
Yeah, I remember like, yeah, just like me, Andy, we were like rolling the ivy back, like you like I was going like push the carpet back, pull the carpet.
Yeah.
The knee just cutting the roots out, and it is a weed, isn't it? It's not.
It's horrible, and I mean, look, we found original rose bushes to the house.
Yeah.
No one's magically planted them there in the last 70, 80, 90 years.
No.
They're original to the house, and since we've pulled the ivy back, they're growing again. I mean, how fantastic is that?
Yeah, they're Robert Marnock's originals, and those are mentioned in like documents from like local authorities are talking about as a special area of interest. Although nothing's been done on that for years, so
no,
they've probably just done that to cover themselves in case anybody asks. Probably it's a standard kind of pen pushing exercise, I think, in my opinion, where you've kind of cover yourself. But Arnott's original, he landscaped the whole place, including some trees on the park and things as well.
Oh yeah, we've seen those in the middle.
Or the copse at the other side of the farm where the heron.
Well, the planted garden on the below the terrace. I mean, we've seen the species, haven't we? That they're completely out of place. Some of them.
Yeah. Me and Andy had a conversation about holly bushes, didn't we, Andy?
Yeah.
Holly bushes.
Prickly bushes.
Yeah.
And they've grown massive now, obviously, because they've been unattended. But
yeah, and there's a few young ones that sprouted up as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was like the section of brick wall at the back, which seemed like was like half an octagonal or half a sextagonal. I presume it's octagonal. And then there were what we presume were steps as well, weren't there, Andy?
Yeah, I think what Chrissy says, I think it was designed, although it's hard to tell because of that shadowy picture, it was designed to be symmetrical with one roundhouse at one end and one at the other. But I don't know. I mean, that one that you guys spent a lot of time on a few weeks ago, that looks actually round.
Yes.
You know, even the stone's shaped round, isn't it? So it was obviously well cut out. But this one last week,
it is different.
Octagonal shape. So probably a similar sort of feature, but maybe to a different design.
Yeah.
It appears to be slightly bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the first one discovered has no red brick wall at the back, and that octagonal shape to it. So, but I don't think either the first one discovered there was no ground level or veranda level entry door, was there? It was just a viewing tower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was an entry door on the round one, but it's a bit smaller. It looks as though it was a bit of a squeeze in, and you can see that on one of the photos. You can see a little black shape. Whereas this one looked like last week. This looked like a proper doorway.
Yeah, a decent sized one. Not good for something like my height. Yeah. I just remember like hacking in, with the machete, hacking into the ivy for about 5 to 10 minutes to just cut through it and cut it off the tree. It was like it was a bit savage. All right, so Thomas joined us as well, and he found some. I believe he found some piping, didn't he?
He did, yeah, terracotta piping.
Some glass and things that were on the surface as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were like outside drainage from there. Obviously, all of these things have been taken through time. I mean, we've found in the past before pieces of like drain pipe and drain pipe brackets and things made out of cast iron. All that type of stuff as well. It's just little fragments cast everywhere.
Yeah, it is like what it is. It's a demolition site at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's just been blown up.
Yeah,
and just left, to its own devices for, nearly 100 years. It is what it is.
Exactly. Nobody's going to claim to do anything about that other than recently. So I think maybe we should just discuss a bit more about Saturday first and get get good stuff.
Well, I think on the point of demolition, I think one of the pictures I put on earlier, which is related to that little rant I had, all these people saying, stealing or removing artifacts, it's literally, it's fragments, isn't it? It's
yeah, that's basically slander.
there's pictures, but there's pictures in David's book, which I think are in the public domain as well. There's a couple of little boys sat on the bay window when it was derelict in the 1950s. There's a couple of other pictures that have been put on recently of the 1950s. It is literally a stone shell, and it has been stripped of billiard tables, doors, kitchenwares, you name it. Every single thing went. Probably a lot of the pipe work, ceiling fittings, everything of any value.
I don't know what they think we're taking, or have taken, or will take. But
it's a very good point to make, and I'm sure anybody that's listening may or may not have seen a statement which we put out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter the last day or so. It might be a good idea to read it now, or can we put it at the end? I don't know.
Carry on for now. It was just the point I was making, that literally, if people think we're there digging things up to look for things to stick on eBay or things to take on for personal gain, it is literally fragments we're taking. It's like going to the World Trade Centers and finding a shard of glass, saying, "I've found a remnant," isn't it? It's I don't mean to be flippant by that, but there's no way of piecing together where it came from, what part of the building it lived in. It's just the excitement of finding something tiny, and we're not the only ones who've done it.
I know, and I think that certain individuals out there need to be very careful before they go kind of singing to the press, local press, about these types of things, because they have to look at the actual legal definition of theft, which is somebody covertly or overtly trying to take something to permanently deprive another individual or party or company or business or place of that item or items, with the intention of permanently depriving them of that. Now, as we all know, anybody that's taken any interest in our group, which is not these people who have been singing, it's not them, they haven't even bothered to introduce themselves or to open a dialogue. They've shown no integrity or valor, no morals or anything. And so it's just simply, you can't accuse somebody of something like that. It's just not done. It's really, really, it's been upsetting to some of us. We've always stated from the very beginning in all the groups that anything that we find, to save it being robbed by people coming through the site, souvenirs,
or destroyed,
so on, or destroyed, which has been there, nearly 100 years. But imagine people at home, right? If you were pulling back ivy and you found a little piece of tile, a bit of glass or something as well that was, was sentimental to people, that could be used in a future exhibition or to be curated somewhere, you would automatically think, well, yes, you'll try to get that to the right person, which is exactly what we stated from the outset. And on top of the statement we made, I want to make this very clear, that there was never any intention of taking anything, as Andy said, for profit or for any personal gain or any means. We are cooperative volunteers who care about the community and the environment and the welfare of this place very much. The fact that somebody's gone crying like little kids, somebody basically, who's just got no cojones to come forwards and have a discussion, has gone crying to people anonymously, though. And, we never saw any body referenced in that article. There was no individuals. It was just, I hate to say this because Grace Newton wrote such a good piece on us for last time, and a colleague, Stephanie, before. They wrote two really fantastic pieces. But unfortunately, as somebody speaking personally myself, who's worked in journalism in the past, I feel that the article was not only borderline poor journalism, but it was kind of shoddy in a way because nobody contacted us.
Well, it was one-sided.
It was it was a one-sided hit piece.
It was a one-sided agenda for sure.
And it's a shame really, because the relationship had been so good with the Yorkshire Post, Francis Brodie and other people.
Yeah.
There's 99% of the population and social media there. you're always going to get 1% that are idiots. That's life.
Yeah.
But you.
I mean, it wasn't even a story, was it?
No, it wasn't.
It was a one-sided statement.
It was a slanderous and
Yeah.
almost libelous hit piece. You know, I mean, you know, there's no way we're going to take legal advice on this, but it's just kind of a thing that, well, you know, we're bigger than that. You know, we know that this is nonsense, and we know that accusations have been made of things that we're never going to do, which is deprive anybody. We just simply want to say things so they don't get lost there.
Yeah, or lost or destroyed.
The rate that country houses were blown up in the between the war years, you know, they said a lost country mansion was blown up once a day for 10 years, over a 10-year period. Yeah, it was a done thing in those days that people went and helped themselves. You know, it was almost open season, wasn't it? Come and claim what's left before it's gone. Yeah. Now, in the case of Milner Field, we've seen pictures from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s with ever-dwindling amounts of stone. The archway that's gone from being an archway to a crumbling mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a myth in Gilstead and Eldwick that everybody had a bit of Milner Field somewhere, normally in the form of a garden wall or fencing. But you know, the metal fence that Chrissy put a picture on the other day, all that metal fence was a few hundred yards around, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That went somewhere. Yeah. So there's no sort of disdain for anything like that happened all those decades ago.
No.
But people are getting precious over little fragments of glass and tile and metal that may or may not have come from the house, and they're losing the shit over it. And that's what sticks in my craw.
I know. And you got to remember as well, it was like a rubble-strewn site for how many years? 30 years afterwards. People have come along, especially in the 70s, or even like the bulldozer crews, and dropped things as well. I could have brought home something that I thought was a bottle from Milner Field, you know, the bottom of a bottle. And when I got it home, it was actually a Nestle bottle, and circa 1970s.
Yeah.
You know,
thinking about that.
There was a little statue, wasn't there, in the archway? That's probably someone's ornamental fountain thing in the garden.
Yeah, above the centre. Yeah.
It all just smacks of sour grapes and egg on face from, like I say, you know, somebody that is not even capable of communicating. Very sad, because you know we've always talked many times about reaching out to those people, and just if they reached out to us, we'd happily communicate with them. But no, they just kind of reverted to type as being well, kind of like, I don't want to slur Victim Eldrew, but Victim Eldrew probably has a bit more integrity and kind of valor about
it. I did actually try and find my pearls.
I better look on him.
So anyway, that's enough. That's enough bashing.
Yeah, let's go back to Saturday, huh?
Yeah. So after that, I mean, I think we've met so many fantastic people who've just come along through the day. And Andrew's doing his tours throughout the day, and I'm sure you're going to tell us about some of that in a minute, aren't you? But we had some of the most amazing individuals come along of all ages. We had the running group that came through first. I think there were like 5 or 6 of them. Lady that worked up at I think Gilstead at the with the dementia patients and so on, and she was saying, you know, they'd only come through here, they'd seen it online, and they come through, and we showed them around. And then there was that lovely old couple, elder couple, should I say? Yeah, politically correct. Sorry, elder couple that came along while we were like heaving stones out, and the lovely old Jamie as well, and just quite a few others as well. But the only one that I really want, we could mention everybody, but we don't have time. But the one chap I want to give absolute kudos and thanks to was Steve Forrest.
Steve!
Steel crowbar, which is like nearly 4 foot strong steel crowbar for lifting rocks out at a time when we were thinking, how do we keep moving these? And the tractor jack. And we all teamed up together, and we got some absolutely huge stones out of the way. So yeah, Steve Forrest, I said I'd give him a plug. That's Forest Developments Construction that he does. He specialises. He's an expert in moving these types of masonry and stones and things as well, which is important to point out to our detractors as well. All the way along through this project, we sought out experts and we found people both on obviously the preservation side, the conservation side, and then obviously to do with the actual mechanics of moving
and
things.
health and safety as well, because you know we're not being.
Yeah.
I don't know what they think we're doing down there, but
I give a quick shout out to Karen Constantine as well, who's been absolutely fantastic, and she's obviously been very good through all of this as well. So, yes,
Steve was amazing. He's multitasking to a next level, wasn't it?
I'll tell you
Ripping out
what.
ivy with his left hand and lifting boulders with
I
his
just
right.
can't believe the guy.
just don't.
I'm definitely having him to come and do my garden. I'm telling you, because
Absolutely, yeah. And
what a
tremendous-
guy! He was just
lovely chat.
I was in awe.
And you know, he was just like, yeah, he lifted everybody's energy, and he was just like helped us to jack those great big stones out of there and to move them. So that's to address another concern as well, because we've had quite a few people in the last week or so saying, "Oh, you've made this huge pile of rubble and rocks and open cellars and holes, which was a dynamited demolition site. You're making it unsafe." No, again, this is a complete mistruth. It's a type of righteous indignation that you'll see anywhere on the internet, but we haven't. We've left everything safe and tidy and clean. And
we spent 2 hours. Sorry, David, but we spent 2 hours cleaning up after ourselves, making sure that you know all these carved pieces, some of which were on the top anyway. You know, a few of them we'd actually dug out and removed them. We made sure that they were off to the side. They're all together. They're in pretty much the same location as they were found. You know, yeah. If it had just come down and had a look instead of just ranting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think, Andy, isn't it? It's easy these days for people to comment on something they have no knowledge or actual factual knowledge about or any insight into, and to seem like they are set themselves up as, well, it's a whole kind of woke culture in it. It's like the whole thing of like righteous indignation and like, I've got the right, isn't it? Just to insult a stranger, isn't it, Andy?
I think you're right. Yeah. And I think there was another guy turned up on Saturday as well, a younger guy with a little spaniel dog.
Yeah,
I mean, he put a shift in as well, didn't he, to say he'd only called for a quick look around.
Yeah, I think it was Jamie or James or
Yeah.
Jamie. Yeah, it was a lovely chat. He got stuck in.
Yeah.
So with the tours as well, because Andrew produced a wonderful folder, that document, so you could pictorial images, so you could show people.
Yeah.
How did your tours go, Andy?
I just find them really fun. That somebody always asks questions. It's never the same question, you know. It's all genuine interest. Once they've worked out and got the bearings, which I think those little drawings helped with.
Yeah.
You know, they're just led to question after question after question, and I answer what I can. I don't profess to be an expert whatsoever, but you know, it's good. It's fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people we've been showing around have been a lot younger than me, and I'd like them to have this interest for a few years, because you know one day the bulldozers are going to come, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure they will. The bulldozers will come.
Well,
I think they will. I'm with Andy, to be honest with you, David. I do. I started out thinking like that, but unfortunately, I don't know how many years. You know, it could be 5, could be 10, could be 20. But one day, that place will be a housing estate.
I don't think the land's usable at all.
Well,
just too. No, I don't. You're right, because obviously the space in front of the farm, if you know, unfortunately, if the farm ever goes out of the family that it's been for 120 years, that will be very, very sad. But
it'd be horrible.
But it's all classed as greenbelt land. It's classed as, you know, I mean, the council's trying to put areas special interest on it, and obviously, I think although we've been denigrated and vilified by certain
minorities,
minority idiots, let's say, it doesn't hide the fact that we brought this back to people's attention. It was only years ago that the upper farmland they were trying to turn it into a business park.
Yeah.
But the number of protected species that inhabit that area, owls, jays, woodpeckers, blue herons, cormorants, that's not insect life.
Well, I hope you're right. I wholeheartedly hope you are right. But I have this deep-seated fear that one day it will be, someone will come along and say, this isn't safe. Even if they don't build on it, they could scrape away the ruins.
You could cordon it off. I mean, to be fair, the fact that the current landowners who I believe brought it off Bradford Council originally.
Yes.
Bradford Council do seem, I don't know, I don't want to use the H word, but it seems like they sold it to them in the first place.
Well, who knows? Who knows? It's all speculation.
They got the money, and now
thanks very much. But at the end of the day, it's expensive land.
Yes, but there's plenty of land around it.
Of course there is, but that's their land. It's expensive land. And, my fear, whether or not it will ever happen, I do not know. But my fear, and sometimes it has kept me awake at night, believe it or not, is that, you'll see somebody will say something one day and you'll get down to Milner Field and the bulldozers will be sweeping away all the rubble that means so much to us. They'll just sweep it down and leave it in a huge pile. There'll be nothing left.
Yeah. They'd have to excavate down a hell of a long way.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just fill it in. Maybe they'll just use what's on top to cover.
Well, see, look at Fennyhurst and the Knoll. Those were both built on hills, so those were easy to flatten. And I think the Knoll is now, well, it's all in communities' houses. It's
gone.
Ex-council houses, so that was easy to flatten when it's on a hill like that.
Yeah.
Fennyhurst too, but this isn't. This is on a valley side, and it's deep cellars beneath, and also the culverts of streams. So I don't know.
Well, let's hope you're right, but that is my fear.
I just hope that none of us will find out in our lifetimes.
Hope not.
No.
So I hope not.
Things like this I mentioned last week when I did that introduction about myself last week. So I was born, bred in Lidget Green. And for people who know that area, Lidget Green was almost a village outside of the main Bradford city centre. Then there was a bit of green belt. The next village was Clayton. More green belt, Clayton Heights. More green belt, Queensbury. All that area is just welded into one now. It's just one big mass of concrete from Queensbury right down to Bradford. And it's the same over here. So when I moved to Gilstead in '96, Gilstead and Eldwick were two distinct villages, and they're not really now. And I mean, I live on what they call the concrete jungle around here. So 20 years ago, this was farmland. This was part of the other farm further up between Gilstead and Eldwick.
Yeah.
So I live on this Swan Avenue metropolis, and once it's gone forever. But it's frightening just how much they have built over here.
Yeah, and it won't stop. It won't stop. Whether or not the site of the old house will or will not, it's they always find somewhere else to build, and
Well, all we can do is hope and have faith that somebody out there will do something. Like you say, it seems to have been years since the council did an assessment, about 4 years or so. Before that, there's always, like we say with the people we've pointed out earlier, they harp on a lot about stuff, but you go back in 15 years and done absolutely nothing.
I know. Wouldn't it be wonderful one day?
Either they're hiding something, or or they've
well, who knows? Again, it's all speculation. But wouldn't it be wonderful if that site where the house was could be turned into some sort of museum or something?
Yeah.
The owner of the land could actually start making money. It could be. I mean, it's free at the moment.
You do museums, don't you? You get
exactly. It's free at the moment because anyone can go there, anyone can take anything, anyone can destroy anything. But imagine one day if there was, I don't know, I don't even know how you would do it, but you know, there are varying degrees of, I've got these fanciful ideas of like some kind of purpose-built canopy across the whole of the house with gates on and whatever. And you know, people would pay to be able to go in if they excavated it properly.
Maybe
you know,
just ask for donations like most people.
opened it all up and then turned it into a proper museum. And I doubt that'll ever happen, but it's one way to make money from something that's not making money, you know.
Most music,
I'm sure there'd be some sort of opposition, of course, but you know, it's at the end of the day, the only reason why we started with this is because of the house. It's not because of anyone else. It's not because of popular opinion. It's not for self-glory. It's because the house has affected each and every one of us in a way by the fact that this beautiful mansion was so cruelly smashed to pieces. It's all to do with the building and its grounds. It's such a beautiful, beautiful place. There's energy there. I get there and I feel like I'm coming home. I've never felt that anywhere, in any shape or form, anywhere else. It's a magical place, and you know, it should be preserved. It really should. I'm not a historian. I'm not, you know, someone could be watching us and thinking, oh God, what a nutter she is, you know, talking a load of twaddle. But it's passion. It's something that happens from the moment you step on that land. It doesn't happen to everyone. But the moment you step on that land, if you are open to this, if you don't even know if you are or not, something seeps into you.
Yeah, and when you know, I know you come the other way when you come in, but
I come in the archway.
I would walk up from up the long coach road or the bridge.
You do Coach Road.
Yeah, I have to do because the other way is bit too much. So I was when I get to that end, which is closest to the courtyard, there's the broken culvert, then the stream that runs down there into Milner Field cow pastures.
Yeah.
I always think that the energy changes just before there as the road pitches round and up.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you cross the stream, it's just like everything changes. And I always like that thing in my head. It feels like you're home when you cross that little stream. It's always just wash my feet in the stream like a little ritual. Then go up, hop over and go under there. But too true. I mean, if you know, even if they just charged everybody that went there to make a donation, that would be enough. I mean, you don't necessarily need to.
No.
You could put information posts around there, you know, but you don't have to cordon it off. But I don't. The locals, like I think I said in the third video that I made in 2021 about voting lake and stuff. I did mention that then. I said, well, actually, it might be nice if Bradford Council did something with it. It'd be good and that, but then you'd get people coming along with the litter and the bad attitudes and the stuff.
Yeah,
and just probably the locals wouldn't like it. And I wouldn't like to live around there. And so that's probably why it's remained as it has.
Yeah, I suppose so. I never thought about it that way, actually, but
people don't like that.
Yeah.
You kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, pardon the pun.
It's true.
The way I see it, though, I did a lot of work in London when I worked for BT, and I did some work in a place between Farringdon and St Paul's Cathedral, where I was based for a long time in this modern glass office block, and it was called Number 1 London Wall. And I never got what the historical significance was or anything like that. And went for a walk one summer, and there's literally pieces of London Wall, which was like York City walls, dotted around it that you could visit, and people had put up information signs and everything. And I thought, wow, you know, a little piece of exposed history. Yeah. And then it was concreted over again for another 100 yards, and then a bit more of it was found. Now, if I compare that to what we've done with that part that people kick off most about, the part where we've dug down to that facing wall and the steps in the courtyard. Yeah, on the face of it, it looks a bit extreme. We've dug down and exposed something, but if you're going to show somebody around, you can either point them to a load of grass and rubble and say somewhere under there's a wall and the surrounding archways, or you can say that bit there is what the actual house looked like. And if we could do that, just dotted around the perimeter of the building, you know, just expose a little at a time in a safe manner, That's the sort of thing, isn't it? People would be interested, that it'd engage them and take them round there, and that's all I want from it.
That's right.
And we've learned. Sorry, David, I keep cutting you off. We've learned so much. All right, Zippy. We've learned so much just by uncovering that walk. We know where the house. We know how far away the house was from. You know, we didn't know before. It was like a mound of rubble that had fallen down. Yeah. All right, smarty. But we didn't know. We've already learned now where the boundary was of the house. So we know how far it went back. It was all guesswork before. I just don't understand why people are so up in arms, you know.
But in the grand scheme of things, there's not that many surviving pictures that show it in all its grandeur, is there? I know some of them from the south side with the terrace, they're quite good. The pictures taken at the north side through the archway and that, they're grand pictures, but they don't really show a lot of detail. They're not very clear.
No, they don't. And they don't show all the angles, do they?
But they do show a beautiful building. And just to stand there and look at that bit of wall now and think, that is it. That's what you see in pictures. That's what's left of it. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. And I think people should embrace that, rather than, you know, if the owner came and says, get off my land, we'll get off his land. But he's not been there for 70 years, so.
And I know that area of London that you mentioned, Andy, as well, because I know around where the Square Mile is too. I'd stayed there once for a few days around that area where the London Museum is. And we spent almost half a day or more in the London Museum, but that part of the wall that's exposed is around the Westminster, which is a separate, literally a separate country state. But there's a big section of the wall there exposed, and that's because it's London, and obviously that was obviously Alfred's doing. He was, you know, the Roman times. Romans abandoned London and it was left to wasteland for about 300-400 years nearly before Alfred the Great rediscovered it. Obviously, the time of the Vikings came back. They were on one side of the Thames. He was on the other. It was Londonburg on one side, Londinium on the other, and then obviously everything else. But that's a place of massive historical importance and interest. So naturally, that's preserved to this day. But if you're talking 1860s, you know, I mean, if you just walk around here, there's buildings even across the street from me that were built before that. And they're not of special historical significance. It's only because the Salts lived there and it was connected to the mill and stuff that it's become special significance. Otherwise, it'd just be like no one would give an absolute damn.
Yeah.
And this is why I find a lot of the.
And I get that. I get that. I fully respect the Salt history. You know, it's there. It's part of this area.
Yeah, and we've respected it. We've been, I think we've been called possibly every name. We've been called amateurs, amateur sleuths,
vandals.
We've been called vandals,
thieves.
Robbers, thieves, brigands, scalawags, rascals, everything you can name. But do you know what? Not one of these other people that's kind of like hidden behind anonymity online. You know, they've not named anybody. Not one single person has come forward to give their own personal reputation online to say, no, actually you're doing this wrong or that. We've been very respectful and very careful to every single stone and every brick and every morsel, every insect we've found. We've rehoused everyone, every snail, everything else. And these people don't see that because they ain't bothered. All they want is a little bit of tittle-tattle and a bit of, kind of, they don't.
The size of that spider I moved last week from one boulder to another.
We housed everything.
Never harmed it once.
We all love nature. We all love nature, and you know we're not there to destroy anything or put anything in that place.
Yeah.
We're there to make a profit from it. We're not there to sell it on eBay. We're not there for our ego's sake or anything else. So if any of those people are watching this, we just say, well, please grow up a bit. Swallow your pride and come and talk to us. We won't turn you away if you come and talk to us. Just be adults, be grown-ups, and stop hiding behind your keyboards. Stop hiding behind your, kind of anonymous. We've got this anonymous expert says this, that, and the other. No, just come forwards. And get the adults. Let's have a conversation. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Just because.
Life's too short to be
just because we're commoners and you think, you know, we don't deserve to be doing this.
Speak for yourself. Got my pearls in.
Proud of the fact that we're commoners. I'm Bradford born and bred, so I'm not common, you know. But it doesn't mean to say that I don't know anything, or Chris doesn't know anything, or Andrew doesn't know anything, or Alan doesn't know anything, or Steve doesn't, anybody else.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean to say that we don't know what we're doing. Probably we know better than these people because they ain't been there.
Yeah.
They ain't tried.
Not only that though, David. We've actually taken the time to you know, read up about everything. You know, we know the place inside and out. You know, Andrew gives tours. He gives very, very good advice and knowledge because we have done the homework.
And of course, we've done our own research. I have over the last few years. Even going back to like 2012, 13, so on as well. But especially the last couple of years when we started uncovering the carved symbols on the stones and things as well. I've done countless hours of research on that, days and hours of research on that, into the greatest detail. And I bet if you put me head to head with one of these so-called anonymous archaeologists, I bet you don't have a clue about any of that. So, you know, what does it matter if you've got a bit of paper on your wall? It doesn't really matter, does it? It matters in how much you care about something, how much you're prepared to put your energy, your time, and your passion into it. And I think we can all say, hand on heart, we've done that. But, you know, to sit behind a keyboard or to sit behind the anonymity of a newspaper article or whatever, or like, it's basically, I think one word came into my head today. Anything that I read there this week was hearsay.
Yeah,
just hearsay. It's like third-hand opinions. You know?
Yeah, not fact-based whatsoever.
No, and if you want to come after me for saying that, you know, you're welcome to, because it's true.
You'll have to get through me first.
No, we'll have no fighting talk tonight. It's not like that. So anyway,
it's just amazing how it's almost like a Milner Field community now, a cooperative, whatever you want to call it. And you've got locals like the wonderful Mrs. Jarvis. She actually saw that building standing. You know, she used to play in the ruins. She shares stories of it, and she's no issue whatsoever with people of the modern age doing the same. They're only doing what she did as a kid.
Exactly.
And almost everyone of an older generation who walks through there tells me something I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, the
But
first
that's
time
what it's all about. That's
first
what
time
it's
I met
all about.
Alan's not joined us tonight, but I learned more in my first 20 minutes of meeting him about it than I learned things I'd never known before.
Yeah.
And I'd love to share it with others, but it's got to be a two-way thing.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan's hopefully going to join us later. He's just got a few things to, one thing in particular to attend.
Big shot.
Again. We can't discuss that. It's a family show, right? Okay, so yeah, hopefully as well. And I think Tom, I'd asked Thomas specifically last week to, you know, if you could write something, prepare something, and we can read that and open that for discussion maybe one time as well. Yeah, but hopefully we'll see how things go. You never know with podcasts. You know, sometimes somebody comes along, and goes, oh, I'd love to be involved. But yeah, there's all kinds of things. So we have got some more. We're in touch with quite a few highly trained people out there, and you know, there are some things as well that I must stress this as well. A recent, always because of recent, I have to say shit on Facebook that people have just dribbled all over it. Yeah, we are in touch with people, and certain things that we've made provision for, we've done a lot of planning and preparation for, but we're unable to discuss it publicly. So just because you don't know that, it doesn't give you the right to make personal ad hominem attacks against any of us or all of us collectively. Blah, blah, blah. It just means maybe you should trust in somebody else, and you know, not just want to make an ad hominem attack on somebody that you've never met and you've got no knowledge of. So there, you know, I'll stop preaching now.
We last week we did actually have a trained well, he works alongside archaeologists. He was on site and he was giving us advice and telling us what was what. He might not be there all the time, but you know, it's just not something that we've thought to mention before, I suppose.
Exactly.
And people have just assumed that we're just in the woods, you know, lobbing things about.
Ticko.
Yeah. Oh,
Assume the big tickos. And
nothing more to say on that.
of course, well, this is like I think I recall remarking to somebody today. We live in a post-truth age, and like a post-reason age, where you know, I think the whole of social media makes it so easy just for the kind of actual. I call them social media vandals, because they just attack and deface and destroy anything that you're trying to do without actually having any of the facts. So you know, that's kind of to get that back out there from whence it came.
Yeah, I mean, if people are willing to listen, let us put our side across, like that lovely lady Caroline. You know, she posted quite a few concerns, and at first we were a bit like, oh God, here we go. But once I actually started speaking to the lady and explaining, and she posted her a list of concerns, and I sat there and I gave her an honest and open dialogue about what had been happening and what we were doing, and you know, after she was yay, you know, and you know, hopefully her and her husband at some point will be able to come down and you know, we'll give them a tour and show them what's what. And
yes, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Caroline.
So when you know, it is like when people actually listen and let us speak rather than them just do the talking, you know, they understand maybe a little bit more.
Yes, and another factor that's probably goes under the radar as well is each of us, the main 5 members of the cooperative as well, but have come in to help us too. A lot of us suffer with hidden disabilities and chronic health issues and things as well. So we're not always, obviously, some of us are getting on a bit. But yeah, some of us actually suffer quite severely with you know, conditions like arthritis, fibromyalgia, all kinds of other different issues.
I mean, I have lung disease.
So on, and Andy's, there's something wrong with Andy's wood. So just kidding. No, there's nothing wrong with Andy's wood if anyone's watching. So no, yeah, we're all you kind of engaged in this despite our own kind of not limitations, but certain things which limit us. But our passion, our energy carries us forward, doesn't it? So you are out there, you know, sat behind your little keyboard, kind of you know, joining in with the hate fest on social media, which it is basically, then just remember that you might well not be in possession of any of the facts, and you don't know that, well, actually some of us are striving really hard to make things work there. And it's so easy to attack people, you know, anyway, but, you know, just bear in mind and be kind to, you know, people before you start attacking them.
Absolutely, well said.
Right. Okay, that's enough of that nonsense.
Yeah.
And there's no quiz tonight because, well, we'll save it for next time.
Save it for next time. It'll be more fun.
Yeah, because we started slightly earlier recording tonight. Right. So and we moved a hell of a lot last Saturday, didn't we?
It was such a good day, wasn't it, Andy?
It was good. A bit colder, wasn't it? It's not t-shirt weather now.
Well, I don't know. I've been outside today and it's been quite warm.
3 layers on, 2 pairs of socks, and 2 trousers and waterproof trousers. So I'm not. Andy's there, and he's like, he's manking in his t-shirt.
You wearing shorts last week, Andy? I can't remember.
Shorts every weekend.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, it didn't rain, did it? That was the bonus.
No, it didn't rain. And I believe as well, there was some activity around the old Milner Field steps, because I didn't witness that. Would you like to tell us about that, please?
Which one of those?
Okay, you fight between yourselves.
Well, I swept the old Milner steps and removed some mud from them so that they look, you know, well, so that we're looking after them. And I was adamant, once I got my point across, that the salts would not have rambled up a muddy embankment to get to said steps to get to the croquet lawn. and obviously there was an aerial photograph. So Andy got stuck into the mud, and yeah, tell us, Andy.
Yes. So you'd seen the outline, hadn't you? And we couldn't tell if it was in a central line from the steps down or slightly off. You thought it was slightly off, didn't you? So
yeah,
a couple of us just started pulling a bit of ivy back, and again, no disrespectful digging. It was just all just to see if there was sign of any staircase or anything. What we found was some edging stones that were angled, and some looked like semi-stone, semi-concrete, gritty type slabs.
Yeah.
And the wonderful Thomas put 2 and 2 together and angled them. And we did think we found the edgings of what would be your secret staircase. Now, what we can only assume is because it was only sort of 4 or 5 foot wide, that it was perhaps in keeping with the rest of the estate, and maybe Yorkshire stone or some nice sandstone, limestone or something. And that will have long gone, as we said at the beginning, when it was all plundered in the early days. Any sign of those stairs is gone. The edging stones are there, but the steps themselves.
But the edging stones have got a lovely sort of you put them together, hadn't you? Or,
yeah.
And they were so decorative.
Yeah, we should. If I knew how to share a picture on Zoom.
Yeah, I know, me too.
I'll probably switch my camera off and start filming my wall again if I try.
But yeah, they were decorative. I was quite. I don't know why I was surprised. It's Milner Field after all, but yeah, they were definitely there, and there are still traces of them.
And it was once again, it was yet another example of just how much soil is formed over the years. So every year there's a downfall of leaves on that slope, and every year that adds another inch. And you think, God, we dug down maybe 2 or 3 foot before we found those edging stones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, they've been left in place. If other people want to go and see them, we left them in a nice little formation to show the shape that they would have been. So
yeah. As what we've done with some of the stones, it's you know, we've placed them in such a manner that you can almost tell what they were, you know. So anyone walking through could stand and just look at them and think, that was a window frame. You know, it just adds to the magic of the place, I think, as well. But also, like you were talking about the soil production, that's why it's important to keep up with the sweeping of the mosaic floor.
Yes. Yeah. That picture you posted from 2005, Chrissy, was like, wow, it's like a grassy jungle. And
I don't think anyone had ever touched it prior to that. So prior to the book, I should add perhaps. And the book came out, what, 2011?
Yeah,
2011 it was published. Yeah. You wouldn't have even known it was there, Andy. I don't even know if you'd even seen it when it was like that. I hadn't. It was completely grassed.
I've been around there before, where you could literally only find a square foot of it here and there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine I didn't even think about how that could happen, but you know, falling leaves and you know, insects and soil production and then the grass seeds and then grass and then whatever else. It's amazing that it's, you know, it's still intact.
Yeah, I go back to about 1984, 85 when my family came across it on a walk, and it was like just a tiny bit exposed, and it was like, what the hell is that? Yeah, prior to that point, up to I guess like 70s, 80s, 90s, up to 2005 when somebody cleared it, it was a field.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? You just never you could have walked past it and not even noticed.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy, but it's wonderful now that you can see it. I mean, I don't know who cleared it in the first place, but
the gentleman that I met a couple of years ago, he'd come, I think at the end of the winter, he'd come to clear it, and I'd helped him sweep up a bit. He said, "Oh yes, I come from," I think he said he was from near Otley Way or something like that, but he had a connection to the local place, to the history else as well. So he came, he said, "I'll come like once a year and I'll sweep it and I'll do this." And I was like, "Oh yeah," but I didn't stay in touch with him. I just helped him, and I was gone. But you just obviously, like, that was that must have been like the beginning of, you know, kind of people trying to care for the place again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost you know, our life has become temporary custodians of.
I know, but you have to ask, you have to, you know, after this week, it begs the question: where were those people? Where were the detractors at that time?
Well, off doing something else, clearly.
Clearly not bothered.
Maybe spending too much time on here, like, ooh, you know, I don't know. You know, put your money where your mouth is. You know, it's.
I think Facebook started in about 2004-05. I think that's when I joined. Oh God.
Yeah.
And so it was still around then. I don't know if there was any groups at that time, but it was more MySpace at that time, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. I had a wicked MySpace account. It was fabulous.
Yeah, back in the day.
It's all music and clubbing.
Hold on. Oh, the halcyon days. I don't know.
Oh no, I miss MySpace actually.
Yeah, speaking of which, as I had on Saturday night, an unexpected night out in Leeds, which was very good. And then Monday.
How did you do that after Saturday?
Well, do you know what? The energy of the day just carried me forwards. And then my friend phoned me up. I've got this ticket, and it's one of the very best DJs in the world. Which is 1,200 marks. I think they're Israeli, and they were just doing a DJ set there. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go. And I just like, by the time I got home and got to bed on Sunday morning, I beg your pardon, I was like,
oh, horrifying.
And I was thinking, I've got to go to Manchester Apollo on Monday night and do that. And that was just amazing too. So it was like 2 gigs in 3 days. Normally I'm lucky to get 2 in a year.
Well, I was laying dead on the sofa, messaging you, thinking, what is wrong with this man?
I just because I must admit, I saw people that I've not seen for like 15 years, like 5 or 6 people, and I think just the pure love and energy kept me going. And then it was like, wow, it's so many reminiscences. So it was a whole complete day of history in the morning with you guys, just beautiful. And by the time I got home, I was just really pumped up anyway. And then in the night, just like seeing people I've not seen for so many years. And then thinking, oh, right, get a rest and Monday go again.
Yeah.
You do. Oh, no, you all know about the dance floor, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The glitter ball.
The dance floor has a certain way of keeping you up.
Milner Fields.
There'll be no close to Milner Field, though.
I'm off to Milner Fields to dance on the dance floor.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't the dance floor at one point, but anyway. And that leads us on to, you know, kind of obviously, it's important for us to express as well, given the last week's events, that certain people don't represent our interests through their actions or the deed
100%
on social media, and simply are not affiliated to us in any way whatsoever. So if they have actually created any misdeeds or things that they've taken unnecessarily, or put out information which is not correct or not given any conscious consideration to what they've been putting out there, then we would like to say as a cooperative that we are definitely not affiliated with these people, and we do not endorse or promote anything like that whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Of course, and hopefully they know who they are.
And hopefully, you know, they will.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Hopefully, they'll return things they have taken, and
hopefully, and do it the way that we always intended to do from the start, which is, you know, to preserve and save.
Yeah. I mean, it looks, you know, it kind of looks like we're taking the high ground here against somebody, but we're not. We're just offering some advice, and you know, and telling people that that's not the way we work. It never has been. It never will be. And I was quite shocked actually on the Sunday. I was like, "What?"
I didn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. I was too. I
was just like, "Oh, okay. You decided to do that, have you?"
I was too horrified. I didn't want to. I just didn't want to go there. And
it's well known that we don't go on a Sunday.
No, as well. So yeah, if that's led to anything that has reflected badly on ourselves, then that's a massive shame. But then, of course, those people that should have been dealt with at the other end before published.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to re-educate a load of people that there were no spiral staircases now.
No doubt.
Did you watch that as well?
I just heard secondhand. So, right, okay, we've probably told you both enough now. Have you any further business or anything else you want to say? Because I know Andy's.
Have you got any pictures of my big sack? You know that.
This is a family show. This is a family show, Andrew.
Remember my big sack from last week when I that seller from the
the spider sack.
Yeah, was it? What do you think I meant?
No, but oddly enough, I'd rewatched the I think the second Hobbit film on Sunday, and that actually put me in mind of it. You know, it's a bit Earthwood, because it was the same type of spider, and they had the big globular sacks. And I know Chris,
they were a little bit bigger.
I was like, oh yeah, that makes a great deal of sense. Yeah.
So it was interesting, just because obviously it was the little hole at the end of the potting shed. You can't get down there; it's not big enough to crawl through.
No.
So I just literally dropped my hands down with my camera and took a picture with the flash on, just to see what was there. And there was not only the pipe work, which must have eventually gone under the conservatory.
Well,
so there was remaining pipe work, but that enormous spider sack.
Cider sacks. That sounds good. Just kidding.
Yes, apparently that was the boiler room, allegedly.
Yeah,
okay. I've never heard that before.
Well, from what I understand, there's could be these for two reasons. One, which is to store food in, but the others can sometimes be egg sacks. But I'm not sure the logistics of that. I've only got 2 legs, so I don't know. But it seems like, I'm not an expert on arachnids by any means, but it seems like the 2 reasons for making those sacks.
It was like a white sock with a tennis ball in it, wasn't it? It was just.
I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure next week some spider expert is going to troll me and call me out for saying that. But
European cave spiders.
Well,
let's
invite them on. Let's invite some experts on to have a look at my sack.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh dear.
We probably say once again, thank you so much for joining us. And while this has been probably the most serious show we've done yet in some ways, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we brought some kind of light-hearted moments to you as well. Just to say, all the usual social media links on Facebook, we have the Milner Field History and Discovery group. The Milner Field page on YouTube is the Milner Field House History and Discovery podcast. The same on Odyssey and Library. And then, of course, on Twitter, it's Milner Field HD. On Instagram, where he puts things out as well, your photos regularly, is Milner Field Podcast 2. And just anywhere else. There is a WordPress blog, which I'm currently writing articles for. It's just delving into the deeper into the history of Milner Field, uncovering the history and discovering Milner Field as well. So those will be out there soon, and hopefully a website too. So you can get in touch with us across any of those platforms. All the video casts and things will be on Spotify too, and we're on most of the podcasting sites: Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, Castbox, I think Breaker, and there's loads more. It's just getting distributed out. So thank you once again for joining us, and thank you to Andy, and thank you to Chrissy. I know we really appreciate every week that we get doing something. And at the end of this podcast, for anyone who's interested, I will just include a brief recording of the statement that we put out this week regarding how our activities are evolving at Milner Field. So okay for now. And thank you, guys. I'll have a quick chat with you when we're done. So for now, it just remains for all of us to say night-night for now. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Cheers.